years I would talk about how I wanted to change the world, but I always left it up for someone else to do. But then I finally realized I needed to take a stand, and that by changing my thinking I could change my life. And that's how I could change the world. So let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. So let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand. I'm gonna stand up for joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Let there be love. I am a stand for love. Let there be joy. I am a stand for joy. We are making a new world now. Let there be peace. I am a stand for peace. Love. I am a stand for joy. I am a stand. We are making a new world now. I know we are making a new world now. I can see it. We are making a new world now.
Greetings. My name is Reverend Dr. Pat Webster, and I'm head of the Minister of the Unity Social Justice Ministry. And with me is our conversation person today, Lutricia Callair, and also Susan Whitt. Susan is a backbone in our social justice ministry team from the Unity Center of Peace, and she's the one that gave the message last week on racial justice. And so I'm so glad to have her participating in our conversation as well. So I want to tell you about Lutricia Pat Callair. She is a social justice activist, therapist, trainer, and group facilitator. She began her activist career when she was 14 years old as a member of the Roy Williams Youth Council of the NAACP. She was trained in nonviolent civil disobedience, and it's satyagraha, which I assume comes from India.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's the term.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and Gandhi's methods, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
She and the members of the Youth Council, after weeks of nonviolent protest, were successful in integrating all of the public facilities in her hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina, a Jim Crow area for sure. Because of her activist experience, she was introduced to the concept of the beloved community, which proposes that we have the capacity to come together and see ourselves in each other. We can interrupt racism and other forms of oppressions, and we can create healthy families, communities, and a healthy society. She was the first state coordinator for the National Organization for Women in South Carolina, and she was a member of the now National Board of Directors for 5 years. Lutricia was also the founding director of the South Carolina Women's Consortium, an advocacy group that addressed poverty discrimination for women and children. She is a clinical social worker with a clinical practice in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. She's a trained hostage negotiator and crisis manager. He is a satir practitioner and is trained in satir family systems and chairs the Umoja group. Did I pronounce that
Yeah,
correctly?
emoji. Yeah.
A satir center program. She co-developed the JEDI, Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, which trains satir practitioners in understanding and addressing oppressive systems. Her clinical focus is child and families in crisis and domestic violence. She also advocates for women and children in poverty. Her clinical philosophy as a counselor and a therapist is that there are some things to which people should not have to adjust. I think we would all say amen to that. She has created Empathos Media Group, which produces the podcast BEI, Bigotry, Exclusion, and Ignorance, and Here and Now Conversations on online platform that invites people to share ideas and information about the prevailing issues of the day. She facilitates kinship circles that promote respectful and caring interaction among those from different races and life experience. Lutricia's book, which addresses her insights as a Black woman, civil rights activist, and a therapist, is due for publication in the winter of 2026. Well, I learned a lot of cool stuff, cool, good stuff about you, Lutricia. I'm excited to be here with you today.
Thank you.
So, we were talking about racial injustice and how some of the racial justice has been attenuated and taken some steps backwards through the recent Supreme Court ruling about voting rights. And Lutricia, you want to start off and tell us where you are, some of your thoughts about that?
Yeah, we were talking about it briefly before we started here, and I have been really the best word I have is heartbroken about the Supreme Court's decision to gut the Voting Rights Act. And it feels to me like it's that one giant step back that we, during the civil rights movement, fought so hard to move forward. And, we were successful in the sense that we got the Voting Rights Act, we got the Equal Accommodations Act. But I'm aware that at every turn where we've tried to move this country forward toward justice, there's been this huge push backward. If you think about after the Civil War, we had Reconstruction. That lasted all of 7 years because Andrew Johnson, a white supremacist, just overruled it because he was the president after Lincoln's assassination. And then we went about 100 years and living in Jim Crow. I mean, that's about how long that time period was. And then in we had the Civil Rights Movement, big pushback, and we prevailed. That we got 1965 and 64 Equal Accommodations Act and Voting Rights Act and Fair Housing. But it seems like at every point here, there's always this big push back. So it tells me that and I think it's the question that I'm sort of living in, which is it seems to be a huge element of people in this country who will simply not accept a multicultural democracy. They just won't accept it. That it is embedded in white supremacy, that we never really overcame, we never resolved it. We don't talk about it. We act like it didn't happen. Can we just move on? You enslave people for 200 years, just oppress them for another 200 years, and then all of a sudden, we don't want to deal with that. So I think this country's inability to face its own trauma, its own illness, its original sin, and it keeps rearing its head. It just keeps coming back over and over. And the thing that I'm hopeful about is the awareness that I do think we made some steps forward. I don't think that real strain of bigotry that really guided the Jim Crow era is as prevalent now. I am heartened by the folks in Minnesota who marched in the cold and the rain to protect black and brown people. That's what Minnesota did when DHS came in. These were mostly white people. And I mean, they showed up in sub-zero weather, cold weather, and they marched until DHS had to leave. And so I know that that's there too. I know that's there, and that there is I believe, a stronger element of white people of conscience who are willing to not accept this. At least I'm hoping that. I'm not sure I know that. But at least I'm hoping that there is a strong strain of white people that went, no, we're not going to go back to that. But we'll see, because I don't know that we know that yet. And so I am just trying to think about, well, what are my next steps given what I'm facing here. And, I just had and you don't know this, Pat, I've been meaning to tell you and send you pictures, but we just had a new baby in our family. My great granddaughter, who is, by the way, mixed race. She's mixed race. She's a little, her mom is white. And so that puts this whole thing in perspective for me. I'm not coming at it with any particular hatred toward any particular group or ethnicity. I'm just not built that way. I am really questioning what am I leaving her? What is my accountability to her? And making sure that she isn't visiting this when she gets to be my age. So those are the things that have been sort of, running around in my mind and in my heart since this happened. I do feel it as an existential threat. in ways I don't know that my white colleagues do, but I experience it as an existential threat because without the right to vote and without the capacity to have our votes count, because that's what this is about. We're going back to a time period in which all of those, they want to roll back citizenship rights. They're questioning the 14th Amendment. They're questioning. So we're in a dark and difficult situation here.
Yes.
And I think it's time for us. I think it's time. Actually, I think it's time for white people to do some serious soul searching here. Even the progressive white people, because I just think this is not. I feel like black people and other people of color have been saying for decades now, this is the country that we have. You're lying to yourself if you think this is a multicultural democracy. It is not that yet. And we need to, and here are the signs that it's not. And we just sort of ignored them. And we're now facing this, and we're facing this president, which is an embodiment of white supremacy and oppression. So that's just sort of where I'm sitting in my heart right now.
I think you're point on. I think you're point on. I don't have any other things to say right now, but I've agreed with everything you've said.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the only thing I would have added to what you said about it's time for white people to dig in to their conscience.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of us have been doing that. What it's time for white people to do is to do something with that elevated conscience
Yeah.
of, like the people in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be more widespread, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm curious
Yeah.
for you, Susie, because I know what it felt like for me to hear that the Voting Rights Act had been gutted. What was it like for you to hear that? I'm curious about white people's response because what I get scared about is it becomes an event, and yes, it's awful, and that's kind of where it stops. So I'm just curious about what happened for you when you realized that.
I'd love to do that, but I also want to give Pat a chance to answer if she wants to. But I'd love to tell you.
Answer that question, and then I'll go.
Okay,
Susan.
it is, it is, it's not just another thing. It's a step back. It is a fight that we won. We won. And through a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And even after that, it wasn't all won. Everything really wasn't won. It was still, the lives of people were so difficult to get housing, and there were still places and voter places that were making it hard. But at least we had the law, right, on our side. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm crushed by that. It's we can't have a real democracy, like you said, if we can't have it by the people, right?
Right.
And we have never had it by the people. We've always had it by the elite.
Well, here's the thing I'm curious about. I know what it means in my life and how it affects me. How does it affect you in your life? The rolling back of this. I mean, I know you are concerned and interested in what it means to people of color and black people. But what does it mean to you personally to have that happen?
Okay. I guess it just hurts. I think that it just hurts my friends. I don't want to see people. I just really don't want to see people suffer. Also, if it's good, how it could affect me is that later they could decide that, as it turns out, your parents were poor. I'm afraid we're not going to allow the descendants of poor white people to vote. Mm-hmm. You're going to need a pedigree of some sort. I mean, I think that won't happen. But if they start with one group and they put us against each other, and I don't know. I just don't trust it. It just feels like it just feels like being I want to say like we're having our life stolen from us as Americans.
That's the
It's
way to
like
put it, right?
they're stealing our rights.
Well, the other part of it, though, is that, and then we don't talk about it very much because they're I think they don't want to sort of broadcast this. But there is a provision of this, and I don't know if it's embedded in the Voting Rights Act, but there is some talk about women who, if you do not carry your driver's license is different than your birth certificate because you got married or this, they're saying it's possible that those folks won't be able to vote either. So, I mean, it does have those kind of implications.
That's an act that's up for vote in the Senate. It's been passed in the House. I can't remember the name of it, the CSEE Act or something like that. But yeah,
I think
they're
it's
after women already. They're already after women, and the very right wing has a plan to eliminate women from voting.
right. Yeah.
I wanted to say a couple of things. One is you mentioned all the people that voted for Trump. We also had 8 million people that did not vote.
That's right.
And I was listening on, I can't even remember. I think it doesn't matter. Maybe Rachel Maddow, it doesn't matter. But it was this African American voting rights attorney. And what he said, let me go back to my response. My response was my body just bowed over again. Same thing. My heart was broken. It felt like it took the wind out of my sails and my body. And here's the thing. I mean, these are big kapows. These are big attacks. And it seems like our institutions are getting torn down in ways that's going to take a lot of work and courage and action to fix. And what she said is we've got two things. We've got two things that we can do. One is vote in the midterms. And attached to that, I was talking with an African American social justice leader at a Unity conference last week. She actually leads in the church over at Raleigh, Unity of the Triangle, and I said, you know, I think that even as all this gerrymandering is being allowed, there's a lot of white people who do not like Trump, and even if the blacks are pushed into some of those all-white districts, I have some hope that the voices for the black people will be heard in those districts. And
the voices for the white people. I mean, you know what?
Yeah, all of us, right.
I just wanted to guide white people to, yes, this is bad for people of color and black people.
It's bad for all of us.
It's bad for everybody. I mean, do we really want a society like this? Because as you say, Susie, who are they coming after next? I mean, what will the new rules be? And actually, it's interesting because I saw on this documentary this white Christian nationalist, and it was pretty stark. I mean, I thought it was bad, but he basically said women need to go home and shut up. They should not be in office. They should not be involved in politics. Their job is in the home. That's where they're in charge. So do we want this for ourselves? I don't care what place you are.
I heard William Barber's response to an interview where he said, those are not Christian nationalists. They're not Christian. I'm a Christian. I mean, he says he's a Christian. He's even an evangelical Christian, which unity kind of lumps them all together, which I think is a mistake. But he said that's not Christianity. That's idol worship. They are worshiping the idol of Trump. And I liked that response. And I also want to weigh in as a unity minister because I think that unity has been late to get on the social justice train.
Yeah.
And I was reading some handouts and some of Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, some of what he wrote about racial justice. And some of it, I think we've got to evolve. I mean, he did say we have to change our consciousness inside, and it does start there. However, you know, that was what he said was our action. And I I've been reading a book called The Politics of Jesus, and have you read that book,
No, I've
Lutricia?
heard of it though. It's one I'm going to get because I really.
Yeah, I mean, it was written by an African American minister who's gone to like prestigious schools, and because when he was a little boy, he asked his parents, "Well, wasn't Jesus kind of active in the world like a politician?" And his parents said, "Probably because of fear." But he went to school, so he had a right to write this book and credentials, and the Hebrew traditions of the prophets they were there to rattle the establishment. And I'm really with William Barber when he says it's time to start laying down our bodies in the street. And we're gonna, you know, I've been signed up to volunteer to get people to go to the Moral Monday marches in Raleigh, and so I just think unity needs more visible action. That's not to downplay the change in consciousness. And I'll just say one more thing, because one more thing is that what Fillmore did say, and he wrote this during World War II, I believe, and it was how to get rid of an evil man. And he said we got to bless him.
Oh,
We got to pray for them, and we got to bless them, because if we keep saying they're evil and la 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 la, that's adding energy to the evil, and we don't have to like what they do. And I heard somebody in a Marianne Williamson town hall say, you know, underneath the walls of mud and slime, there is a very wounded personality that is hurting people, and under that is a divine being like all the rest of us. So
We,
I,
yeah,
go ahead.
I hear that, and I think that makes sense. But here's my fear. Here's my concern: is that when we offer that without it accompanied, without the companion of accountability, then you're letting folks off the hook. Okay, if we're just
I totally agree. I
yeah, I
totally
mean,
agree.
if we're just, we're gonna bless them and pray for them, that's fine. I've done that. I'm an activist. That's what I know to do. But there's an element of accountability here that you got to call people into bad behavior. And the reason I asked Susan and I'm asking you, what does this mean to white people? Because my fear is that white people have literally been almost anesthetized,
mm-hmm.
anesthesia to the suffering of what that kind of oppression brings. So it doesn't come to you in the same way that it comes to me. And it doesn't mean you don't worry about it and that you don't care about it and that you're not. But the awareness that this is an existential threat. This isn't just some problem. This is an existential threat. This is where I think I want white people to realize it's an existential threat for them too.
Well, it is, and it is a threat to the moral soul of our country, to
Right.
the collective moral soul.
Mm-hmm. And
It's not.
we can't survive in a democracy with white supremacy. That's what we never learned. We never
Right.
learned. You cannot create a democracy under white supremacy.
Right.
And so we've got to heal the white supremacy, which we did not do. We just
And we
lied.
started with it. We
Yes,
started the
and we
country with
started
it.
it. That's
And
right.
it's just always been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I want to say something about that. Underneath every evil character, there is that
will be.
innocent that innocent
Yeah,
child that was born,
I
right?
believe that too. Yeah,
I believe that.
yeah, I
But
believe.
here's what else I believe is that I believe that that soul will eventually find its way to God. But I think that they won't all do it on this earth. That might be something they have to find in a different time.
Right. Yeah,
Because after 80 years or 85 years or ever how long, and they're rooted in whatever that we want to say they're rooted in, it's not coming to pass quick enough for our country.
yeah.
And I want it cut out. I want to cut out that cancer, even if it has already metastasized. I want to cut out that original.
Yeah, and Unity believes in reincarnation and many lifetimes, and we're all at different stages of our evolution,
Of our development, right?
all infinitely learning and growing. And yeah, it really may not be in our lifetimes, Susan, or in their lifetimes. And
Yeah.
still to know that at the bottom line, we're all children of a universe which is infinitely expanding, changing, evolving, and so are we. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that also gives me hope.
But
Thank
the
you,
other
Pat.
thing that I know, and I agree with you, Susan. I don't know what will happen in our lifetime and how much we'll see. But I'm remembering something I learned from the civil rights movement, which is you're still called upon to work. Your
Yes.
time on your earth, no matter what's going on, you are still called upon to move this forward, to
Hmm.
advance the human condition, to help us evolve as human beings. And so, while I'm feeling, disappointment and heartbreak, I also got my boots on. I got my, activist boots on. I'm out there. I'm prepared to do, as long as I have breath and energy, to do what needs to be done. And so it feels, on some level, it feels to me like what I experienced as a 14-year-old during my first sit-in demonstration. Let's go. Let's do
Yeah.
it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm ready. You want to do this? I'm ready.
I
So,
I totally agree, Lutricia, and I think that it is through that action that accountability happens. I think that's where we have to stand up and speak. Reverend Barber is saying that eventually we're going to have to put our bodies in the street. I
yeah,
think
we
he's
will.
moving toward that in the thing. And and I let's see, there was one more thing. Oh well. But I totally agree that that's where the accountability piece comes in. Oh, I know. And the other thing, one of my foundational messages, and one of our foundational messages in this ministry was based on Kamala Harris's statement when she accepted the vote. And, she said, the darkest nights are the best time to see the stars. And
Yep.
as we're stars, we have to radiate hope. They will not, that when my body buckled over, it's like, I got to stand up and I am going to hold hope because it's one of the most contagious, strong things in the world to hold. And love is bigger than any of the hate. So
That's right.
we have to keep those boots on with the intention of accountability, with love and with hope and with action.
And
And
that is
Brian Stevenson said, "Hope is what we have to practice because
Right.
that'll be the thing that gets us to stand up when we're told to sit down and so forth."
Thank
That
you.
is,
that's certainly what guided us in the civil rights movement. All we had was hope. We didn't have any
yeah,
law. We did not have laws. We didn't have
right.
501c3s paying us big bucks. We did not have corporate leaders. We had hope and our boots on the ground and being willing to, put our, as you say, Pat, put our bodies, or as Reverend Barber speaks, put our bodies on the ground. I've already accepted. I've I've accepted emotionally and intellectually. I was thinking, well, you've been to jail 3 times. You may have to go again. That's okay. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
prepared to
certainly.
put bodies on the ground and bodies in jail if I need to.
Right, right. Something else I was going to say about accountability. Oh, I know. The other, the other thing that this voting rights attorney said, besides voting in the midterms, is that we're going to have to totally, and this is going to be a big battle, and it's going to be a long fight, is we have to change the Supreme Court. That
Oh,
has
yes.
to,
We got to.
that's going to
Got
take
to.
and
We-
John Roberts was one, young John Roberts started chipping away at this. She gave the history, and I didn't know that. But he started slowly chipping away at this when he was a young man. And this is weird for me. Again, I can get tempted to get into that dualistic, he's a bad guy. But again, we just are going to have to stand up and work and, and send blessings his way and keep
Yeah.
doing our
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. What else, Susan? You got some anything?
So, Lutricia, um, I'd be, I mean, I would love to hear any first, any firsts, thank you for sharing your first experience with going out and putting your boots on the ground when you were 14. Are there things that we wouldn't know, that white people would generally not know about childhood, about your own childhood wounds that may be about racial? I mean, that you
Well,
may have other. I mean, there's all kind of childhood trauma, but I
yeah.
wonder.
Well, I got there. This is the experience that happened for me that got me into civil rights work. Uh, it was, in when I was growing up, Jet magazine was the magazine for Black people.
Yeah.
It had Black life. If you wanted to know anything that was happening, it was precious to us because all the other media did not recognize us at all. So to have this one magazine, it's no bigger than a TV guide, come to us every week
Mm-hmm.
was a gift. And I remember, and it came on, for us, it came on Monday. And I remember this Monday, and it was in the summertime, and I noticed that all of my neighbors, my adult neighbors, were gathered on our porch. Well, our porch was usually the place where people came to talk and hang out anyway. But this time, you know how kids can sense things? This was different because the folks were quiet.
Mm-hmm.
In my neighborhood, we talked, we laughed, we were loud. I mean, expansive. And I'm looking at these people, Mr. John, Miss Mary, Miss Rumley, all these people, and they were sitting around, and my dad and other people, and they were just quiet. And so that alerted me. I'm like, okay, what is happening here? But then I heard them saying stuff like I heard, well, he was just a little boy. White folks can be so mean. He didn't know what he was doing. And I knew at that point. And so the kids, you know how kids, when the adults are, there's something serious going on and they're not talking to the kids about it. So the kids started to huddle because we could see that there
Uh-huh.
was some disturbing thing happening to our parents. And of course, our parents not wanting us to hear it, shoot us, go play, you don't need to hear this. So we did. But I also recognize that TV guide that used to be on our mantle for me and my brother to see was not there. And so I started questioning, why is the TV guide not where it normally is? And why are my parents acting this way? So my mom and dad got up to go to work and left us, the kids, um, as they normally were doing during the summer. And so my brother and I said, let's find the TV guide because there's something in there they do not want us to see.
And you're
And
talking about the Jet magazine.
Jet magazine. So I'm sorry, I said TV guide. I'm sorry, the Jet magazine.
Just wanted to
Uh,
clarify.
because there's something in there that they do not want us to see. And so we went looking. I mean, they hid it well. They hid it. They hid it behind under. I think we found it. Where did we found it behind the sugar can in the kitchen. That's mom. They did a good job. And so we got it and we opened it and we opened it and there would always be a centerfold, like this big picture that was in the centerfold that attracted you to it. And in this centerfold was the body of Emmett Till. And it was the body of Emmett Till after they had pulled him out of the Tallahatchie River. It was the most horrific. I still see it in my mind's eye. I mean, I have never, ever seen a human body that looked like that. Not to this very day. Because it looked like his face had melted.
Mm.
You know, his face had melted and he was swollen. And so we were like, you know, we were kids. And there's this kid. When we picked it up and started reading it, we realized that this kid, he was older than us, but not much older than us.
Mm-hmm.
And we read that he had been in this store and that this white woman had accused him of whistling at her.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, he was killed. So my little mind went to, oh my God, you know, white people are the boogeyman. That was the place that went first. White people are just like monsters. They're just these horrible folks. But then the other disturbing thing was happening was they're monsters and they hate us. So that's what I attached to. Monsters, these white monsters are walking around in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and they hate black people and they will torture us. So I sat with that for a while because I was like 10, maybe a little bit younger, but I sat with that and couldn't figure out what to do except it kept just churning that awareness. And I started noticing how the people in my neighborhood spoke to white people and what the behaviors were and what the interactions were. And there were things that I'd kind of taken for granted, didn't really, because we were in a segregated community. Mm-hmm. But what I noticed was that things got very quiet in my community in the presence of white people who came in. And if people come into our community, do whatever, say what they were arrogant about it. And so I began to notice that interaction. So these powerful, strong black people that guided my life became very weak and very mild-mannered and almost fearful in the presence of white people. So that stirred up something else in me. It stirred up anger. I did not like seeing my mama say yes ma'am or no ma'am, or my daddy, who was this strong person. I did not like it. So I lived in that until I was around that summer of when I was turned 14, and they had the first sit-in demonstration in Spartanburg, and they showed it on the TV. And what they showed was one of our neighbors, the teenage son of one of our neighbors, was being carried out of Cress's or Woolworths, I forget which one it was, and his face was bloody. He just had blood running down his face. It looked like tears from his eyes. That's what it looked like. And they were bringing him out of Cress's Five and Dime, or one of those stores. And something in me said, and I don't know how I connected this dot, but I said, I've got to go down there. I've got to go down to Cress's. I'm like 14. And I remember calling my brother, who was outside playing, and I called him, and he and I did we were very close in age, and we did everything together. And I told him and showed him what they were showing on the TV, and I said to him, we got to go down there. We got to go down there. And he looked at me like I was from another planet. He did not know. He looked at me like I had lost. What do you mean? We gotta go down there. And here's the thing he said that I still, he's passed away, but I would kid him about it because he said, we can't go down there because Mama told us not to leave the yard. And as she said, that was the rule, you don't leave the yard while your Mama told us not to leave the yard. He didn't go, we can't go down there because it's dangerous. We can't go because Mama told us not to leave the yard. So it took me about 2 days to convince him because he and I did everything together. And so I remember the day that we decided to go down to Cresses, 5 and Dime, because there were these young black people they were from A&T sitting in. And we put on our best Sunday clothes and we walked down the Cresses, 5 and Dime. And when we got there and we walked through the door and walked to the back of the store, because that's where the lunch counters were, we saw these 2 college students, 2 or 3 college students just sitting there quietly, sitting there. And so we walked up and we sat down, which is, we had never, black people did not sit in those lunch counters. And so we sat there. Now, these 2 college kids, they don't know us. They don't here are these 2 little kids coming from nowhere sitting, who are you? But they needed reinforcements because there wasn't a whole lot of them. So we added to the numbers. Well, after that, in that moment, Pat and Susie, I felt the most power, maybe the
I was thinking power.
but I felt the most, free to step up and speak for myself, to demand, to require something of these people. And I sat there, we got there probably about 11 o'clock. We sat there all day until the store, and people were mad. They were, white folks were talking about saying stuff and making threats and all that kind of thing. And we sat there until the store closed, and then we left. But after that, these college students says, well, if you're going to do this, you might as well come join the youth council let's keep doing this. And so that's how it got started. And it was it taught me about agency. You can act for yourself, even in the most difficult circumstances, even when the odds are against you, even when you're not the most powerful, you still have that one ability to step up and act for yourself. And in that moment, this may sound kind of spiritual, maybe it is, but in that moment, I knew what I was put here on the earth to do. I knew in that moment, and I have committed myself to it ever since.
I think that we know those things are spiritual. I think that's the spirit in us saying, this is what you came here for, our soul.
Yeah.
And in unity, we believe that power is one of the powers that we all have as part of the divine. We believe we interpret the Bible metaphysically, so the 12 disciples are iconic for the powers that we have as a divine person that Jesus came to show us how to do. So
Yeah.
power is one of those powers. Yeah.
Thank you for telling that. That was beautiful.
I hope I didn't take too much time, but that was
No, well,
Beautiful
well
stuff.
worth it, I think.
I love that. And I love the emphasis on agency and standing up. And that is I'm sure for all of us, when we stand up on our own behalf and we're also with others, that is empowering, and it is a holy moment, and it is where we feel freedom.
It was a sacred moment, and it was one of those things, because I was born and raised in the Baptist church. I went every
Me
Sunday.
too.
But I don't think I've ever felt more powerful spiritually than in that moment. Because I felt like God was with me. I felt that energy. And I didn't, and so I was not afraid. I wasn't afraid in the way that I think when I talk to people, I think, you're 14 and energy, and we had much more dangerous situations after that. But because I felt like I was doing what
God
that
wanted you to
God
do.
would have me do.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
however it turned out, even if I lost my life, it was what God would have me do. And I was
Right.
okay with it.
I want to end this conversation with one of Susan's good questions. And I think it might be a question that we could take away. And her question to you, Lutricia, and then I would like for each of us to say what we would like for people to take from this conversation. And Susan's question, as she constructed it for you, Lutricia, was what would what do you want well-meaning white people to know, and what would be their takeaway today if they genuinely seek a place in the healing process? So I want to direct that one to you, and then I want Susan and me to say, well, we want everybody to take from this. You want to go on with that one first, Lutricia?
Yeah, what I want well-meaning white people to do is to know themselves and to recognize this struggle, this challenge that we're facing is not just my challenge. Not just, I do not want white people stepping into this thinking they're doing something for me. I
Mm.
want white people to step into this knowing that they are saving their own souls and that they are capturing their own humanity. And that is incredibly, and if they do that, if they understand their own humanity and get in touch with that, then it will certainly work for me. It will work for me. But I just want white people to do their own introspection and go, who am I as a human being, as somebody who is God driven or who is connected to something bigger than myself? How does it how does this fit with me? And how does it inform my life?
Thank you. For me, well, I'm a person who really relishes the connection between people and relationship. And I don't know what I want others to take away, really. Maybe I should have thought of that too, but I know that I will take away the story of Lutricia being a kid and being brave enough to go against her mama.
And my daddy, yeah.
and 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 standing up for what you believed was right. Oh, that's really that's precious. That is I appreciate you sharing that story.
Thank you, Susie.
A good question to ask, Susan. Yeah. I think the double thread of first knowing ourselves, as you say, Lutricia, getting clear in our own consciousness and our own soul, knowing what we are here to do in this time, each of us, and the twin threads of doing that and then taking action, and the power that comes in God-led action, spirit-led action, and I would like for us in unity to evolve a little bit more in that kind of on the street action that Reverend Barber talks about. That's our fifth principle. Fourth one is we know the divine through prayer and meditation, and our last and fifth principle is when we know what is ours to do, we take action. And I hope that we're that we're more visible. I'll drop the a little, but we're more visible in our action in this time. It's too morally important to sit home and pray.
Yeah,
Well, you and Susan are going to have to guide them through that. You know that, right? They're going to need the right leadership for that one.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Lutricia. That's beautifully said, and I just feel so grateful for this opportunity. It's fed my soul right
Thank
now.
you. I appreciate it too. And it's good to know you, Susie, and meet you and
It's
have,
good to know you. I
yeah,
would love to talk more later.
Yeah, hold on.
Wake up, wake up. You've got the power. You've got
my people in the East, yo, you gotta wake up. Midwest, dirty South, yo, you gotta stand up. All my homies in the West, yo, you gotta wake up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up.
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Wake up, all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. 'Cause they're the ones who's coming up. The world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can.
Scream peace, do we mean it? Can you feel it when we scream it out loud? Do you believe that we need it? Do you believe that it could get right? Do you believe that the children of the world deserve a good life? Well, if you do, it's time to wake up your mind. We can make it better, and I know it might take some time, but we gotta start somewhere. How about with you and me? From us it goes to others, then we'll have our unity.
Wake up, all the doctors make the old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hell. But they don't have so very long before the judgment day. So won't you make them happy before they pass away?
Wake up, all the builders, time to build a new land. I know we can do it, long as we lend a hand. The only thing we have to do is put it in our minds, and surely things will work out, 'cause they do it every time.
I ain't here to take up y'all time. I came to shake up y'all mind. It's everybody's wake up call time. I can't sleep too long. Why they do the people wrong? Let's clean the world up before they sweep you gone. This is real talk, you could peep through songs. So when you feel weak, these words will keep you strong and help make a change for the better. It's hard for one to do it, but we can make some changes together. Ghetto. We gotta stand up here and give thanks to the man upstairs. Put the egos and the pride to the side regardless, and just be role models, parents, artists. We can make a change or we can make it the hardest. If you gon' make a baby, you should make them the smartest. Let them know good and bad, right from wrong, how to roll with the punches when life moves on. And the stress won't take toll if you don't sweat it. World won't get no better if we don't let it. Let the negative energy ride, keep hope alive. It's about time that we open our eyes. Wake up.
Everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Wake up, 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 wake up.
Yup, well y'all best to vote. I don't care about the guns you tote. Listen to me like you listen to Fahrenheit 9/11. Ain't no time for the second guessing. The words I speak, wake up. The ones who sleep in the leaderships, fix your mouth to teach. MCs teach the kids with peace. They don't have to worry about the police. We make them rich so they don't have the thief. Every artist here on this track. We'll make a change here for young cats. This is for everybody, white or black. You better go and vote and get up off your back. This life a rose on, lift your head, get your voice up. You see the power of the people, it's a choice to ignite love. Not a choice, it's a gift that our people have to fight for. And the fight's far too personal for anyone to ignore. Voice to be heard. Take the opportunity. The responsibility, yeah.
My team and I are so blessed and grateful to have been called to a social justice ministry at this time in our nation, in our world, and on our planet. If you are inspired by this ministry, and if it feels right to you to support us financially, you can do that. There are 2 links down at the bottom of this page. One is for PayPal that will allow you to donate either through a credit card or through a debit card. And the other link is to Zelle, which will be contributing from your bank account, and it will go to our treasurer. A fellow social activist reminded me that when we donate to social justice causes that inspire us, we are also doing an act of social justice. Thank you.